What is good, fam? Agent OP here. This is my first video game, video related video off of my gaming channel. And those of you on my toy channel who regularly know me as Agent O, also welcome. Since I've been a lifelong gamer, I wanted to start delving more into video game related content, and so I figured what better way to start that off than to do a video about the new Streets of Rage game, Streets of Rage 4. I've been a huge fan since the Genesis days. It's been one of my all-time favorite games ever. I've played every single Streets of Rage game, even the official, unofficial Streets of Rage remake, and I just thought it would be appropriate to make the Streets of Rage 4 the first game I talk about on this channel. So now that I've had some time with the game, because I didn't just jump in and start playing and just with the express goal to create content specifically for the game, I wanted to actually sit down and have a good time with it and enjoy it. And since I've had time to play it, I've just got overall I have mixed emotions about this new game entry. I really want to like the game. There's definitely things about it I like, but there's definitely some things about the game that I just don't care for, or there's some gaming choices that I find just outright questionable. But for now though, I just want to discuss and focus on the good things that I think worked overall for the game. And the first thing I do want to talk about is the presentation of the game, the overall art direction. I really like the overall look of the game. I like the animation style that they chose. I don't know, I feel like it fits for some reason. It looks starkly different from the original games, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that they were trying to, I think in a way they were trying to kind of give a little throwback or callback to the people that did the Streets of Rage remake game, because their sprite, I mean not their sprites, but their opening cinematics and stuff and their art direction, they were definitely going for a more stylized art style. So, and with a little bit of artistic license taken, and I think that the people at, I think it's .emu or .emo or whatever the company's called, I can't remember offhand right now, but I think they were trying to go for something like that as well. As far as the main characters go, I feel like the designs, they fit in pretty well. They don't look too out of place. Axel was definitely the most interesting, well, one of the most interesting, just because it's a stark difference from what he looked like in the original games to what they decided to make him look like now. I mean, now he looks like if Ryu and Chuck Norris had a kid, it would be Axel. He's got the frayed ended jeans. It's kind of like how Ryu's gi has frayed ends. And he has the shirt tied around his waist, almost like a karate belt. It just reminds me of a karate belt. And then the whole Chuck Norris beard thing. So I dug it. At first I was like, wow, that's really different. And then the more I saw it, the more it grew on me. And then with Blaze, her overall redesign, it gives her some more personality, and not to mention, I mean, she looks pretty dummy thick. But it's a good design overall, and I think it stays true to her design in the games as well, especially with some of the color uses of color and whatnot. With Floyd, I mean, he looks all right. I don't really have too much to say on him. I knew right away that he was obviously connected to Dr. Zan because of his arms, but I thought that the look of his cybernetic arms could have been a bit more sleek in their overall design and not as bulky. But that's just me. And while I was looking through some of the concept art, I actually liked the look of his face in the concept art better than in the final version. That was just more of a personal preference of mine. Moving on to Cherry, I think Cherry's look is fine. They incorporated yellow into her costume as a visual cue so that you knew she was related to the Hunters. Even though I still miss Skate though, but I think Cherry, and after playing with Cherry's character. I do think she's a fine addition to the game. But I have to say that Adam Hunter is by far my favorite design. Like, the character just oozes coolness. I mean, you could tell that the developers wanted to make him look as cool as possible. Like, even some of his dialogue is cool. Like, he has cool dad jokes, and that shouldn't even be a thing that makes sense, because usually dad jokes are fine, but the way, I guess, the voice actor delivered them actually made them funny. It just, to me, it just worked. And I'm not gonna lie, I was happy that they added him back to the game as a playable character. Ever since 2, I was like, man, where's Adam Hunter? And then they kept not putting him in the game. Even in 3, he wasn't in the game. He'd show up in like the cutscenes or whatever. And I even remember that when Kotaku had put out an article about the reveal trailer for the new game, I remember making a comment saying that they need to add Adam Hunter to the game. So yeah, I mean, overall with the art style, like I said, I liked it. I had read some comments and I had heard some stuff about people saying that they didn't like it because it was too anime or it wasn't gritty enough. But like I said, it kind of reminds me of the artwork that the Bombergames did for the Streets of Rage remake. So, and I didn't get the whole complaint about it not looking gritty enough, because I think that just because when people see, I think people who aren't like artists, when they see games that have a bright color scheme, that they think it's automatically, they think that it's bright and it should be happy, when you could make something look depressing or dark by using, having a bright color scheme. I think you can do that. I think if you do it right, it'll work. So I fully disagree about the game not looking gritty enough. I mean, I just like taking a look at just the design for the stages. I mean, look how grimy and dirty those stages look. I mean, there's so much detail, and there's so much everything looks kind of run down and dilapidated. Like for the police precinct, for instance, there's graffiti on the walls. In the holding cell, there's just trash and stuff all over the place. It kind of makes you wonder whether they were getting any work done at this police station. It looks like all semblance of order disappeared a long time ago from there. And like I said, all the stages are chock full of detail, and some parts of the stages have callbacks to and Easter eggs acknowledging different aspects of the original games. So I don't know, I really enjoyed the art style, and I think it stands out in a good way overall for this game. I think it was one of those things that really helped to sell the game, not just to a new generation of players, but also to people that enjoyed the old games as well. As for the music though, I think the music is just okay. It's not going to reach the nostalgic levels that the music from the previous Streets of Rage games had, but I did enjoy listening to them while I played the game. I mean, I could tell right away which tracks Yuzo Koshiro created, just because his music for the Streets of Rage games are distinct, and he has like a distinct way he does his bass lines, and some of the piano arrangements have a distinct sound to them too. I especially noticed that in the main theme. The main theme had like this mix of a bass line taken from a track by the music group Enigma, which, I feel like that could be a direct callback to the old games, because people have done mashups where they took some of his tracks, one track specifically, I can't remember the name of it offhand, but they took one track and they matched it to, the bass line was almost exactly, or pretty much exactly, of an Enigma track. I can't remember the name of the Enigma track either. Sorry. It's been a long time since I've listened to the group, but yeah, people have done that, and you can just look that up on YouTube. But yeah, they mixed some stuff with it. He used some bass lines that sounded like reminiscent of Enigma, and then he had like this 70s Isaac Hayes inspired instrumentation to go along with it. And I thought it was really good. Like, the more I listened to it, the more I was like, wow, this, as it kept going and more musical elements kept getting added to it, I was like, man, this is nice. Even the first stage, of the the track that they used for the first stage of the new game, it sounded like a redux of the original version of the track from Streets of Rage 2. And even though I know this score was a collaboration with multiple composers like Oliver de Riviere, who I actually do like a lot. The score to the game Remember Me is one of my favorite video game scores. But even with that being said, I wish they had just let Yuzo do all the tracks in this new game. There is an option that you can select the retro soundtracks, and it kind of seems like they play random tracks on each stage. But if you have a craving for the nostalgic, that option is there. But moving on, I want to get to the crux of this video, which is the gameplay. This is where I have mixed feelings overall about the game, and kind of in order to explain the problems of the new game that I have with it, I have to talk about the old games, especially Streets of Rage 3. In SOR 3, like Sega had expanded on all of the characters' like movement. Everybody this time around, they all had a run animation, whereas like in Streets of Rage 2, only Skate had a run animation because he was supposed to be the fast character, like the character with the most speed. This time around, everybody has a run, and they all run at different speeds. But they also had a move that if you double tapped up or down on the D-pad, it allowed your character to do an evasive roll up or down the screen. So you could use that to either evade an enemy attack or to keep from getting surrounded by enemies, so you're not getting attacked on both sides. And so that was like a really good thing that they added to the game. But the developers for Streets of Rage 4, they didn't do any of that. They got rid of those mechanics, and they basically went a step back and took it back to Streets of Rage 2, where everybody had a walk, but only Cherry was able to actually do a run. And I didn't care for that. I think it was done this way to purposefully put you at a disadvantage when it comes to positioning your character in relation to your opponents. Positioning in, I call it positioning, but it's kind of like maneuvering your characters in beat 'em ups. That's always been a factor in all beat 'em up games, and it's been like that even in all the Streets of Rage games. But in Streets of Rage 4, it feels like there's been a bigger emphasis on that because of your limited movement speed. Like, a lot of enemies move faster than the playable characters, and the bosses even more so. Like, hell, the bosses can square dance circles around you in order to stay just out of reach of your attacks. It doesn't make it impossible to beat them. It just adds to their annoyance factor, for me anyway. You would have to like maneuver just close enough to be able to attack, but then there's sometimes where some of their attacks just take complete priority over whatever you're doing, and you end up taking damage unnecessarily. So that was kind of a bit frustrating at first when I first started playing the game. It doesn't make it impossible to beat them. It just adds, like I said, an annoyance factor. But overall, it just took some getting used to, and then once I did get used to it, playing the game wasn't as bad, even though it can still lead to enemies being able to pull off some cheap shots and, to chip away at your health. But yeah, I mean, overall, I did like the game, and the more I played it, the more I got used to it. So, but one thing though that I absolutely just can't forgive the developers for, and this is a nitpick of mine, I know most people won't care about this, but I do. But I think that not being able to have more than 2 people for co-op was a huge mistake on their part. It should have been up to 4 people for either local or online co-op. And I think they could have easily cleared up that issue of having more playable characters on screen by either increasing the energy for the enemies or just increasing the number of enemies that show up on screen in the stage. I think that could have balanced out having more characters to play with, while you're playing through the game. Because me and Strident and Clarion Prime, those of you that watch their channels and know us from the Off Our Brain podcast on Strident's channel, and we were all itching to get together to play the game. And when we found out it was only 2-player co-op, online co-op, we were like, well, that sucks. Now we can't play together. So it was essentially just me playing by myself and Strident and Clarion playing together. So, and we were just in the chat, in the party chat, just talking about the game and stuff. So yeah, that kind of sucked. And I kind of wish they had it so that, we could have had 4 players. But, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much gonna do it for this vid. I got nothing else to praise the game or to complain about. So if you did like what you've seen and you're interested and you were entertained, then please do like and subscribe. And let me know about what you thought of the game in the comments below. Did any of you guys think that I was being too harsh on the game? Or are my rose-colored nostalgia lenses keeping me from seeing the game the way everyone else sees it? Because, everyone else has pretty much gave this game an overwhelmingly positive review, and I haven't really seen anybody point out anything that worked or didn't work about the game. It's been pretty much positive overall, which, hey, you like what you like, but I think maybe their nostalgia lenses are a bit cloudy. But once again, that's just me. Let me know if you guys think that maybe I'm just being too harsh. Yeah, because I genuinely want to know what the rest of you guys think. So yeah, that's gonna pretty much do it. I will catch you guys on the next vid. I am Agent OP, and I'm out. Peace.